Okay, supposedly we are recording now, Tasif. I'm not sure if it includes pictures or I will see, but it's being recorded. So, and you're smiling very well for the camera.
Okay, thank you, thank you. तो हमारे साथ I am just speaking a few sentences in Hindi. So अभी हमारे साथ इंग्लिश स्कॉलर आर्नी स्वान सर हैं और हम उनसे जानना चाहेंगे कि अगर हम इंग्लिश को बेहतर करना चाहें तो कैसे हम इंग्लिश को बेहतर कर सकते हैं। और जैसे एक बहुत सारे लोगों की ख्वाहिश होती है कि हम इंग्लिश को बहुत अच्छा कर लें और हम ऐसी इंग्लिश कर लें कि फॉरेनर्स भी हमारी इंग्लिश को समझ लें। तो उसके लिए हम सर से कुछ राय लेंगे। सर हमारे साथ आज यूएसए से मौजूद हैं। Thank you, sir, for your precious time. Your time is really very important, significant, and you have given me a time to talk.
जी, हम बहुत बार बातचीत किया और हमारा दोस्ती बहुत पसंद है। So, yes, I'm very happy to be here with you, Tasif. And it is good to speak in Hindi or English.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I said it's my pleasure.
And my pleasure also, yes. So,
okay.
Yes, and it's good. You know, I love teaching students, and for any students who are listening to us today, I just enjoy sharing the ability to communicate and helping you to speak better English so that you can communicate and talk to other people in the world. It's very important. And sometimes, go ahead.
Okay. There is one question, the very common question people ask once they meet, because I am running an institute online and offline English Cottage. So students ask me generally that how can they improve their English in a very short time or in a very effective way, or they could be able to understand everyone.
Right.
What's
to be fluent in English. And it's a difficult task. If somebody tells you that you can be fluent in English in 3 months, they are lying to you. It does take a long time. And the reason is mathematical. Let me explain. To be fluent in English, you need to know 10 to 12,000 words. Now that's actually a lot of words. So think about it. If you learn 10 words a day and you do that for 30 days in a month, how many words would you know? You would know 300 words. And how many words would you know in a year with 12 months? That would be 3,000, 3,600 words in 1 year. And how long would it take you to learn 12,000 words? Well, that would be 4 years. It's a long time. And so if you learn 20 words, then it would only be 2 years. But it takes a lot of time to learn and remember that. And so that's a reality. Lynn, leave me alone. And that's also true that, you know, the way you learn English is important. That's really most important, because in India, most people who are teaching English are teaching you, they're using written English and they're teaching you English grammar. And most students in India have already learned some English grammar, but they still are unable, they cannot speak English, because they've not been given opportunity to practice speaking. And that's very important, to have conversations in English, to talk to other people in English, to listen to people in English, and then to be able to speak and translate your thoughts into English. And eventually you're fluent, as you said.
Sir, your sounds, there is some problem in sound, some network issue.
There are different, yeah, it's true that
from my side, I think, yeah, from your.
Right, the sounds in English and Hindi are a little different. And so that takes a little practice also. And so you have to practice your pronunciation of especially vowel sounds. And that's that doesn't take a long time to understand it, but it takes practice. And again, we need just to simply have the opportunity to speak with people. And that is the fastest way to learn spoken English. You cannot learn to speak English by writing English, because different parts of your brain, we have a speech part of our brain, and we have a more logical part of our brain where we learn grammar and we can learn to write, but it's not the same part of your brain. And so you have to practice it by speaking it if you want to learn to understand spoken English and to speak good English. And it's interesting. I'm learning Hindi also, and so I understand the process. And I've been in America now. I've been outside of India for the last 7 months, long time already. And yet the words that I know well in Hindi, I don't have to think about them. I can speak sentences in Hindi without thinking, because the speech part of our brain is very intelligent, and it works wonderfully. But you just have to practice it and use it. And I think the best strategy, if you learn a new word, or let's say you learn 10 new words today, then go out and say those words to somebody. Have a conversation and use those different words. And if you use a word 20 or 30 times, you say it and hear it and say it and hear it, then it goes into long-term memory, and then you'll always know that word. So we have to practice those words, and not so you memorize a word, it's not good enough, because tomorrow when you hear me say it, you'll say, I think I know that word, but your brain is too slow. It's too slow. But if you practice it 20 times, then your brain will immediately, the speaking part of your brain will use it, and you immediately know what it means, and you can use it. And so, but it takes practice and time. And so speaking, I think effective English classes give opportunity. Everyone needs to speak. Everyone has to speak.
And you
Answer
have
to one question.
okay, very good. And you have, sir, you have lived in India, and you have worked for Indian students for a long time. I think for almost 8 to 10
7
years.
years. 7 years.
Yes. Okay. So, what did you find the general problem with the Indian students while they speak, and what difficulties they
Problems,
are
they have
facing?
specific kinds of problems. Yes, there are, I mean, thinking about that, there are different levels, for beginning students. The biggest problems they have is understanding how to use verbs in English, and verb tenses. And of course, that's grammar. You have to learn that. And English verbs are very difficult, because they have so many, we say, irregular verbs. They break the rules. They break the grammar rules are always changing in English. It's difficult. And so that's one of the biggest problems, is learning to use proper verb forms. And then I think it's the same between me learning Hindi and you learning English. The order of the words is quite different. It takes practice, because in Hindi, the verb is at the end of the sentence. In English, the verb is in the middle of the sentence. The subject, and then the verb, and then the object, and other things. And so a beginning student has to struggle with those things. I would say for advanced students who know English fairly well, the biggest difficulties they still have are things like little words, prepositions, the little words like of, to, from, with. And there's the reason they're difficult is there's so many of them. There's 110 prepositions, and 35 are common, and we don't know when to use them. And Hindi, you have prepositions also, say, ko, ka, and yet they
के
are
लिए,
the
we have के लिए,
yeah,
के लिए,
yeah.
के लिए,
There's less of them.
में,
I don't know the number of prepositions in Hindi, but there's probably only 20 or 30, maybe not so many. There's
अंदर में,
right.
अंदर में.
Prepositions, yeah, prepositions are easier in Hindi, but they're difficult in English. And so that's one of the very difficult things to learn. Articles are difficult just because you don't have them in Hindi. So you always forget to use them. For my teachers, I have English teachers in my institute in Varanasi, and even though they are good teachers and they know English well, they still forget to use articles sometimes, and sometimes they use the wrong prepositions. Those are the two most difficult things to be perfect with English. And other things are the order of the words. Again, it just takes practice. And I think the best way to learn that is not to learn the rules of English, but to learn what sounds right. And that takes time in talking.
Well, and lastly, one last question, because the video is also becoming very big. So one last question is, you have been connected with the English Cottage for a long time, and you have been also connected with me. So you are monitoring the work which is going on online, offline, everything in English Cottage. So what message do you want to give the viewers for English Cottage?
I would say that it just English is important. Some of the time when I was teaching English in Delhi, English is very important. If you don't speak English, you cannot get a government job. Most good job interviews are held in English. And people don't think that people will think you are not educated if you don't speak English. Even if you have a doctorate degree, but you don't speak English, they think you're not educated. And I think that to be successful in India, it's very helpful to learn English. I think it's a benefit.
The question of mine was, you have to talk something about my institute.
I'm sorry. Well, first of all, I have to say that you, Professor Tassif, you speak excellent English. Your English is good. Your grammar is good. And so any of your students are going to learn proper English. That's very important. The first step is having a good teacher. And I also know that you do give students opportunity to speak, and you give them chance to practice their sentences and the things that you're learning, and you give them chances to talk. And I know that you've also made much effort to try to get even foreigners to talk too. So I think that I'm certain that you're in your city, that you're the best teacher. And I think there are very few good English teachers in India because, again, they don't usually give students a chance to speak and talk. So I think that your school English Cottage is an excellent school. I highly support it.
Thank you for your compliments, for your best compliments for English Cottage, and I hope that it would work very well, and a number of students would come and get benefited from this
Yes.
from this institute. Okay,
it's too long. We probably better quit, I think, for this recording.